Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot and Astrology, but this is neither one. This is spooky story night, true story night. It's 4:20 in the morning, and I just feel like sharing something. I don't know why. And before I tell you the story, I just want to tell you one quick fact. We've been having lots of tornadoes here, and there were more last night. Anyway, they showed a thing on TV today on the news. We've had in 2026, and this is only, I'm doing this, May 20th? We've had 55 tornadoes touch down. I'm in a state called Missouri, which I call Misery. It's not my home. Anyway, we've had 55 tornadoes touch down in 2026, and they went back like 6 or 7 years, and there were 40 some and whatever, 30. But you know what the average was before 6 years ago? This is a new thing. You know what the average was per year? 7. Yeah. So, climate change deniers, take that. That's crazy. That's scary. I want to get out of here. Anyway, I was thinking of this story. It's not a story, it's what happened to me. And I just like sharing because I love stories like this. And if anybody has any to share, I want to have a podcast. I want to have people on. But I'll just tell another one of mine, and if you don't like it, you don't have to listen. But this really happened to me. So I remember the date because I filled out so many insurance forms. The date will never leave my mind. It was 2/10/83, so February 10th, 1983. I was in a horrible... No, I wasn't going to start there. Oh, God, I've already screwed up. Okay. I wasn't going to start there, so forget that. I was going to start with this. So I'm in college. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Okay. Anyway, I'm living in a city. I'm living in a suburb, and I'm going to college at a university in the city. Okay, I'm in the state of Oregon, if you know where that is. And so I take a bus, which goes down this road. It was a beautiful road called Canyon Road. And it was a road that went through a canyon. So there's big rock walls on either side. Not walls, but earth, you know. It's a road that goes through a canyon. Okay. So, and it's really windy. And then at the end, it started out as this really beautiful road on the side of a cliff, and then they had to make it bigger into a highway. Anyway, so at the end of it, just before you pop out into the city, you go through this long tunnel. So anyway, so I'm on a bus, and we're going down this windy road that's got an angle to it. Now I'm losing my voice. I don't know why that always happens. And I'm on this bus, which I don't think they have anymore. They called them articulated. And what it was a regular bus, and then there was a section, there was another half a bus that it would pull like a trailer, but they were attached by this flexible black rubber tubing, you know, this great big thing. It was weird. So you got on the back end of the bus, the other half, it had its own door, okay? So you didn't walk through the tube. So anyway, so that way they could get more people in because everybody took the bus. So we're going down this road. It's downhill, not real steep, but it's downhill, and it's very windy. And I'm in the front seat right behind the driver, and there's a man sitting next to me. I don't know him because all the seats were doubles, right? And then there's an aisle, and then so I'm sitting there, and I'm reading a textbook because I always used my half-hour trip to study, you know, because I was working and I didn't have a lot of time. So I'm reading, and all of a sudden, I feel the bus, it feels like it's swaying, and then I hear people starting to yell. And I look up, and I look around, and our bus is going over the lane. It's going out of its lane over the lines, and cars are honking, and I realize the bus is swaying, and the driver's lost control. and it's because of the articulated part, because it's like pulling a trailer. I think they got rid of those. Anyway, so it's really weird. So immediately, my first thought is I'm going to die, of course, because, I was terrified. And now people are screaming. And I didn't even think about it. It was an instinct. This also happened to me once when I was on an elevator. Anyway, my instinct was to get on the ground. So I didn't even think about it. I got on my hands and knees and I crawled under the seat. There was probably, good thing I'm skinny, it wasn't that high off the ground, but I just squished myself under the seat, okay? And I hung on to the leg post, that the seat was bolted onto the floor with. And I thought if we crash, most people in a bus die, they get thrown out the windows, right? So I thought if I'm on the floor, I won't get thrown out. I'm under a seat. So I'm hanging on for dear life, and people are screaming, and I'm terrified. And then all of a sudden, people stop screaming, and I don't feel the bus swaying anymore. And so I kind of, look around, and then I crawl out. And the man that I was sitting with, he's still there, he gives me a funny look, and I thought, I'm the one who would have survived. But anyway, the bus driver somehow got control of the vehicle. Because I was thinking, when we get down to the bottom, we're going to smash. You have no idea how many accidents there were in that tunnel. It was really dangerous. It was a long tunnel. And, if you were going too fast, you get to the bottom of the hill, if it's wet or something, which it was always wet there, you could smash into the tunnel. So anyway, that's what I was afraid of, was the bus smashing into the tunnel. So the driver got control of it. And, I'm kind of catching my breath and getting my book bag together and everything. And so anyway, it was not that many blocks into the city before I got out of the bus. And where does it look like look, it doesn't matter. So I get off the bus at my stop at the university. And here's the weird part. Well, so I'm walking, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm sure glad to be alive. And all of a sudden, I don't know why. I truly don't know why I did this, but I always wore jeans and I didn't dress up, but I had this suit jacket. It was made out of, it wasn't wool, but something, I don't know, it was like a, they used to call it like a blazer. I don't know what it was. Didn't have buttons or anything. It had a stand-up collar. I just thought it was pretty. And I used to wear it all the time because it was warm. And it had a little tiny pocket on the front on one side. I never used the pocket because it was just a slit. It was not very big. But for some reason, I put my hand on the pocket, and I felt something inside the pocket, and I thought, I never put anything in this pocket. And I reached my hand in, and I pulled something out, and it was a little tiny, I was like, what is this? It was a little tiny piece of safety glass. Do you have that if you're in another country? Here we have the windshields. I don't know when they started this, but the windows of the cars, thank God, are made out of something called safety glass. And when it smashes, it's not big, long shards of glass that will, gouge you. It still cuts you, but it breaks into little tiny round pieces that have sharp edges, but they're less sharp than shards. Okay, so I'm like, how did this piece of glass get in my pocket? I didn't put this here. And then it hit me. This was so the bus thing was 1985, I think. So on February 10th, 1983, I was in a massive car accident. It wasn't my fault. It's never my fault. I've been in a couple. I got T-boned at an intersection. It was dark, it was raining. It was called an uncontrolled intersection, which means neither one of us had a stoplight, and it was at the top of a hill. Again, no street light or anything. No lights, no signs. You get to the top of a hill. You can't see the top of a hill. And two roads cross each other. And I was going, I was going to say I was going straight. Of course I was going straight. I got T-boned. A car came from my right, hit me in the center of the car. It wasn't even my car. And totaled the car. And it was a really bad accident. I got injured and I flew up. I broke the windshield with my head. And then I flew over. I didn't have a seatbelt on. The last time in my life I've ever ridden in a car without a seatbelt. Don't ever ride in a car without a seatbelt. That was so stupid of me. But no one I knew used them. Anyway, and I flew all the way across the passenger side. I was alone in the car. And I broke the passenger side window with the side of my face. And actually my scar's kind of gone. I had a massive scar for a long time. I'll tell you a funny story about my scar at the end. But anyway, so I'm walking along to the university, and I'm like, oh my God, this piece of glass came out of that car accident I was in 1983. I totally forgot I was wearing that jacket. It was covered in blood, and my boyfriend at the time, my boyfriend's mother, cleaned it for me. I don't know how she got all the blood out. I thought I was going to have to throw everything away. I was drenched in blood. And she cleaned it for me. And so as I'm walking with this piece of glass in my hand, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a piece of glass from the car accident. And then I thought, what are the odds? So 2 years later, I'd been wearing that jacket. I wore it 6 months out of the year, probably more than that. I wore it almost every day. And I'd never touched the pocket. I did not know the piece of glass was in there. And then I get off the bus, and 1 minute later, I reach into my pocket that I've never put my hand in and find a piece of glass that fell in from a car accident when I just narrowly escaped a bus accident. Is that weird? I think that's very strange. So what does that mean to you? Does that mean, to me it means, well, I don't know. I suppose I could be psychic. We used to say that word. Now you're supposed to say intuitive. Anyway, but I just feel like it means there's something that's guiding us or whatever. And then my funny story. So I had, you can't see it now. It's gone. I didn't even realize that. But for years I had, especially after the accident, I got severely cut several places and I had stitches. And the worst place was my cheek. When I hit the side window, the passenger side window, and broke it with my face, it got badly cut up. And I remember the doctor saying, he said, I don't know. I didn't look in the mirror. So I'd go by ambulance. Anyway, at the hospital, he said, I don't know if I can repair that cut because it's so jagged, but I'll do my best. So in my mind, I was like, oh my God, what do I look like? I was terrified. And he did an excellent job, whoever he was. He did an excellent job. But it was very, I had a scar. It looked exactly like the number 3 with a straight line at the top and then down like this. And it was extremely, when they took the stitches out, the scar got raised. And it was dark red. And I never thought about it. But I'm in college one day. I was at a different college that time because it was 2 years before. But I'm in college. And this was in the 80s, so it was 83, right? And I don't know if you had all the punk stuff there. But we had, I was older. I was in my late 20s, but most of the people weren't. There were lots of these young, especially young men, who had the safety pins. Where did they have them? In their ears? Now I can't remember. They had safety pins through their skin, and the punk hairdos and stuff. And so this young man, this punky looking, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, young man walks up to me as I'm walking through I forgot what they call the common area. It's like a big building. I was inside. This young man walks up to me, and he looks at my face and he goes, oh, wow, I really like your 3. He thought I carved it on purpose into my skin because it was exactly a 3. But I thought that was really funny. So but isn't that strange? So I narrowly avoid getting killed in a bus accident. And then I find the piece of glass from, I was so lucky to survive that car accident. I really, really was. I was very lucky. No broken bones, lots of cuts and stuff. That's why my cheek is so sunken in. I lost many teeth. They didn't come out immediately, but they were all cracked and had to be pulled. But no, I'm not gonna. Never mind. I was gonna say something about my ex-boyfriend. It's the only time he was really mean to me. But we won't go there. He was mad because I wrecked his mom's car. It was his mom's car. Anyway, isn't that a strange story? So I didn't mean to go on for 15 minutes. I thought that would take me 5. So I hope if you did listen, thanks for listening, because it makes me feel better when I think people are listening, because it's kind of lonely. It's lonely here. I won't go into the details, but I'm trapped in the house right now. So it's like being in solitary confinement. So I hope you enjoyed the story. If you have one of your own, I don't know how to do a share, but maybe sometime I'll do a podcast thing, and I'd love to interview people. I really would. So if you have one of your own, it'd probably be too long to leave in the comments, but if you want to, or email me, I'll put my email in here. You can email it to me. It's a Gmail thing, and I won't share it unless you want me to, but I'd love to hear them. Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. Good night.